Hey folks, today we're going to be looking at the quadratic movement review. So we're going to be focusing on a couple of things. Given the equation y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, we're going to be talking about what the a, the b, and the c can all tell you about where the quadratic or the parabola is located on the coordinate plane. We're also going to be looking at how we can multiply if we have an equation that is written with a parentheses. So it's not in what we call standard form. So it might be written as like x times 2x plus 4 or some other format besides written in our y equals ax squared plus bx plus c format. And then the last thing we're going to be talking about in our review is how we can find minimums or maximums. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So quadratic functions, if we have y equals x squared, we're going to be talking about if we have an a term in front of x squared, how that changes our parabola. So this should all be review. So if we just have a regular y equals x squared, we're going to be looking at a U-shaped parabola like this. Now, if a is 1. Now, if a changes to be 2, for example, then it's going to be skinnier than our original. So if a is 2, it's going to be skinnier. And we talked about why that is because each of these y values gets multiplied and goes up higher than it would have for here. Now, if a turns into maybe a decimal, less than 1, 0.2, that's going to make it much wider. It's going to take longer for it to get up, right? And then what happens if our a term is a negative value, like -1? Well, it's going to flip, right, and go down to the bottom. So then if it's a -2, it flips and is skinnier. And if it's a -0.5, it's going to be down but wider, right? So the larger the a value is, the skinnier it is. The smaller the a value is, the wider it is. And if it's negative, it's going to flip down. So that's a. Now let's chat about if we add a c term. So let's say our c is 0. This would be our c as being 0, which means it does not have a constant term being added. So an example might be like y equals 2x squared. It will not have something added or subtracted to it. So that's where it would just start right here on the y-axis. Now, if we have something where c maybe is 1, so y equals let's put x squared plus 1, that means it's going to move up the y-axis 1. But it's going to be the exact same shape as the plane x squared. It's just going to be up 1. What if c is -5? Then it's actually going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting down 5, but it's not going to flip. It's still going to be positive if our x squared term is positive. So all of that happens for it to be y equals x squared plus -5. All that's going to happen is it's going to shift down. So that's what would happen with our c term. Okay, so I want to review multiplying. So if you're given an equation like y equals x times 2 minus 3x, then what we're going to have to do in order to figure out what this looks like in standard form is to multiply the x term by both values in here. We're just distributing it. So we're going to do y equals 2x, 2 times x, minus 3x, well, what's x times x? X squared. So that's going to change that to be a squared term. Okay, so if I have that equation or something similar, let's say I have 6 minus 3x. How would I find my intercepts? Well, I can find my intercepts by saying I know x is going to be 0, and then I'm going to set this linear equation also equal to 0, and I'm going to solve it. So I'm going to subtract 6, and then divide by negative 3, and that tells me that x is equal to 2, which means my intercepts are 2, 0, and 0, 0. Now we know that this parabola is going to occur, our maximum, oh no, our minimum. How do I know it's going to, or no, it's going to be a maximum, sorry. How do I know it's going to be a maximum? Well, I know these are my 2 points, right? Right here, 2, 0, and 0, 0. But if I were to factor this, we get 6x minus 3x squared. And check out that a term. It's negative, which means it's going to be upside down, right? It's going to look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it. Whee! But I need to figure out what this maximum is. Well, we know the maximum occurs exactly halfway between, in this case, 0 and 2, which means it's at 1. So if I plug 1 in, 1 comma, I can actually find out what it's going to be. So I'm going to plug it in, I guess, to this one. So 6 times 1, 6 times 1, which is your 6, minus 3, and then 1 squared is just 1, right? So I'm going to get 6 minus 3, which means it would be at 3. So there's my maximum, 1, 3. If you need to review the maximum stuff, then you can look at Tuesday's work. There's videos on how to find the maximum and minimum points using the video on Tuesday. Okay, good luck.